What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the 2024 Chevy Malibu RS. Now, this isn't the typical video that I would try to make on this channel, right? Typically, I try to find the highest priced vehicles that we have on the lot, things that I think have a lot of feature sets and things like that. The Malibu is none of those things, and it is absolutely fascinating to me. And maybe not for the reasons that you'd think. It is such a classic economy car. It has largely looked exactly like this since I started making videos here on YouTube about 9 years ago. And that's just incredible to me. With how rapidly these vehicles evolve and, add on all these kind of luxury features, the Malibu really hasn't done any of that. I think it's kind of cool. And that's not to say that there aren't some changes. There are here and there. But for the most part, when we get inside, you'll notice this is all like last gen before type materials, type infotainment, all this different types of stuff. But yet here it is. And we keep them stocked and we sell them. And I'm fascinated by that. So let's just talk about everything that this Malibu has to offer. Again, this is the RS trim. So some of these little features are going to be RS specific, like the black Chevy bow ties, the powder black Malibu badging on the side. There's some RS badging as well. So just some of those accents. And this is actually like the second trim up. So you've got the LS, the RS, the LT, and the 2LT or Premier trim. Technically speaking, the LT is a higher trim or more expensive trim than this, but I think the RS looks better. But here up front, like I said, black Chevy bow ties, a lot of chrome accents here on the front grille, some gloss black accents down here as well, a little bit of cladding at the bottom. And with those really nice RS accents, it has this radiant red tint coat color on here, and I think it looks so nice contrasting with the gloss black and the chrome. Even things that would be standard features on other vehicles in this class, things like the Accord, the Camry, the Kia K5, the Nissan Altima, the Hyundai Sonata, they would have a full suite of LED headlights here, right? Not so here on the Malibu. You just have a standard halogen headlight kit here. You do have daytime running lights, so that's a nice little accent. Turn signal is down here. Pretty simplified front grille, but it's still really attractive. And I would argue it's more attractive than some of those vehicles that I just mentioned, something like the Honda Accord or the Toyota Camry. I prefer the look of the Malibu's front grille. Maybe not the feature set, but the look. So it has that going for it. Now, under the hood of every single Malibu, you're going to have the same 1.5 liter turbocharged engine, 160 horsepower, 184 pound-feet of torque. That's going to give you 36 miles per gallon highway at 28 miles per gallon city. So plenty fuel efficient. And we'll test that out a little bit more in the test drive portion. If we move on over to the side here, no crazy cladding or anything like you'd have on something like the Subaru Legacy, but you do have these really beautifully designed 18-inch aluminum alloy wheels here. They're a two-tone wheel. I love this design. Again, this is kind of an economy car, but I mean, look at these wheels. Those are attractive wheels. Powder black Malibu badging here looks really nice. You do have power adjustable mirrors here. These are manual folding, and they don't really have any extra features, no heated option. I don't even think these ones have blind spot monitoring built in, but you might be able to get that up on higher trim levels, but not here. But they are body colored. Keyless access here on the door panels as well. No sunroof up top, but you can get that as an option. Chrome trim around the windows. Then you're gonna have a nice suite of Chevy safety assist. So you got IntelliBeam auto high beam, follow distance indicator, forward collision alert, lane keep assist with lane departure warning, automatic emergency braking, front pedestrian braking, rear park assist, and of course you have your rear view camera. So moving to the back of the Malibu here, you actually have a spoiler that lifts up off of the tailgate, which I think nice little sporty accent. RS badging here, black Chevy bow tie, powder coated Malibu badging here. Not too intricate taillights here, but I think they do look nice. They're not LED or anything like that. You do have some ultrasonic sensors, and you've got dual chrome exhaust tips here, and these are real, like have real exhaust tips on them. These aren't fake and just for looks. They actually function. Rear camera, obviously. No power liftgate option, but you can pop that open right there. You can see we've got 16 cubic feet of cargo space back here. It extends out on the sides a little bit as well. Underneath the floorboard here, you've got a little tire inflation kit as well, and you've got room for a spare tire, but this one does not have one, but you can fit one if you need to. And then you've got these little levers here that you can drop your second row seats to get a little bit of extra storage space. Not going to blow you away, but it's practical. And that is the theme throughout this entire car. But you can fit plenty of stuff back here. Got my camera case. You could probably fit 5, 6 of my camera cases back here. Plenty practical for transporting suitcases, groceries, moving boxes. You can lay the seats down for longer objects. Let's hop inside. All right, so hopping into the cabin here, practicality is the name of the game. You're gonna see that basically everywhere, right? These door materials, not nice. Scratchy cloth here, hard touch plastic all the way over the top. more of that scratchy fabric. Little bit of a soft touch, but it doesn't even really depress at all. It's just a little bit softer, kind of like what you have on the armrest here. It's all in the name of affordability and practicality. And hey, it still functions, right? You've got window controls here, mirror controls on the door handle here. I really appreciate that they don't give you gloss black plastic. You've got silver plastic, which you can't see dust and fingerprints on, which I can appreciate. But then everything down is just a hard stamped mold plastic. Lighting controls on the left side. You've got automatic lights, some vents here to the side of your infotainment system. And then in the center here, you do have a leather wrapped steering wheel. This is the kind of older design Chevy steering wheel. So you have almost these like child's play steering wheel, kind of mushy buttons that Chevy used to do. They just don't do that anymore on some of the more updated steering wheels, but you do have your lane keeping button. You've got your cruise control on the left side and then some media controls and some controls for this little square driver information screen in front of you here that you can manipulate. Light and wiper controls on the sides. Past that, 2 analog gauges, little tiny cluster in the center with some driver information stuff on it. Nothing crazy as you'd expect, but this little display here is black and white. So proves my point a little bit. You have a push to start engine button though. Again, like I said, none of this is gonna blow you away. None of it's gonna feel super modern. Some of these things, interior material wise, are going to be at a higher level, up on the highest trim level. I'm pretty sure you can get leather seats up there and things like that. But interestingly enough, I don't think we've had a premier Malibu on the lot in months, maybe a year. I don't know if it's just that they don't sell well or what the case is, or people just, when they're in this price point, they don't care about that kind of stuff, or maybe they're, you know, getting it as a fleet vehicle. I don't know. Most of the Malibus that I see on our lot have cloth seats, this type of interior, but I do think there's a couple improvements that you can make, like I said, with that sunroof and things like that. Nonetheless, this is what we're looking at here on the RS, but you do have the largest display available here. This is Chevy's 8-inch infotainment system. This is their last gen system. I still think it looks really good. This is the same system I used to have on my 2022 Chevy Bolt, so it's not that old, and I still think it functions really well. You've got Sirius XM, AM, FM radio, Bluetooth, you got a Wi-Fi hotspot built in, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You know, you can see your backup camera when you turn the car on. It's got adaptive lines. You know, the backup camera quality is not good, but we don't expect it to be, right? But you do get a whole host of physical buttons down here. So you got a home button, you got a seek button, you got a volume dial here, got your auto start stop engine disable button, you've got your hazards there, and then all of your climate control settings are gonna be on this bottom portion here. So you've got physical dials for your fan speed, physical dials for temperature, physical buttons for which direction you want the air to come out. You've got your front window, you've got straight ahead, you got your feet, and then you got your defoggers here as well. So again, people love this, right? This is why you buy something in this price point, is because you're not gonna have all your climate controls on screen, like even something like the Trailblazer, which is similar in price point, but a newer Chevy vehicle, right? This new rendition of the Trailblazer is a newer Chevy vehicle. A lot of these things are moving to on-screen buttons, on-screen controls. So again, like I said, this is a throwback, right? This is a 2024 model, but it doesn't feel like a 2024 model. And some people are going to love that. If you want physical controls, you know, you can look at something like the Malibu. Now down below, you've got some kind of older charging standards, and then you have some of the newer ones as well. So you've got a 12-volt outlet, you've got an aux cord input, so a 3.5mm jack. That's something that's hard to find on newer vehicles. You've got a standard USB-A port as well, but they also give you a USB-C port, which is the new standard. So kind of a mix of that old and new. Traction control button, you've got your parking sensors, you can enable or disable those. 2 cup holders here, electronic parking brake. Then you've got your CVT transmission here, little leather wrapping on the top, little RS badge, leather wrap on the bottom with some accent stitching, and it does have your manual mode buttons on the side as well. Little tray here, I don't know what you'd do with that. It fits the key fob, so if you want to set it right there, you can. And inside the center console, nice deep pocket, not a whole lot going on in here, little removable felt pad. No lights, no additional ports or anything, so just storage there. Now, as far as the seating surfaces go, these are a jet black cloth seat. Kind of a weird feeling seat. They definitely feel cheap, you know, with that scratchy cloth material. They do have a really wide base though. That's something I'd noticed. So if you are a little bit heavier set or wider, then you will definitely appreciate this wider base, but the actual bolstering on the kind of waist and rib area is not that great, and it's a little bit narrow, so it kind of squeezes in on you. So if you are heavier set and you can appreciate that base, you might not actually appreciate the seat itself. Just something to keep in mind. Definitely go test it out for yourself. And again, like I said, on higher trim levels, you'll be able to get those leather seats. But interestingly enough, the driver's seat is a power adjustable seat with lumbar support. Passenger is just a manually adjustable seat. But Neither of them are heated. All right, hopping here into the back seats. I had this seat, I think about where I'd sit as a 6'1" driver. So you can see you've got plenty of room to tuck your feet up underneath. Pretty decent legroom for a sedan that's this size. I mean, look at that. That's probably like 3-4 inches of rear legroom there. The seats kind of arc back a little bit, so you get that extra knee space if you're extra tall back here. You got good headroom here. The shoulder room, not great. You could definitely fit 2 adults back here. I don't think you'd have an issue with that. 3 kids you could definitely do as well. 3 adults, gonna be real tight, real cramped. But you do have a 12-volt outlet down here, so you can put a little splitter there, get some charging for backseat passengers. But door materials remain not great. Same scratchy material. Not great cup holder options over here either. It's a pretty slim cup holder pocket over here. You do have a mat pocket on the back of the passenger seat, but not the driver's seat. And then the center armrest portion does not fold down. So you don't get an armrest here. You don't get any additional cup holders. You're stuck with kind of what they've got going on here. Short-term transportation, kids, no problem. I think you would mainly use this for just additional storage space if need be. All right, let's take the Malibu for a test drive here. I'm kind of excited about this because it's been a long time since I drove one of these things, and I'm interested to see kind of how it performs at this price point. Like I've said many times in this video, it's an economy car, gonna perform like an economy car. You got great fuel mileage, 1.5 liter turbo, 160 horsepower. Let's do it from a complete stop here. That was to 30 miles an hour. Oh man, well, it is what it says it is. That initial start when I put the pedal to the floor, it just rolled. Didn't even make any noise, and it was like, maybe it's a little unfair to do it from a dead stop. All right, from a roll here, foot to the floor. That was to like 45-ish, and it beeped at me because I was pushing up on one of our commercial trucks here. It takes a long time, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. It takes a long time to get to 60. We don't really have any semi-autonomous driving features we can test. We have cruise control, it's about it. Not really even worth testing. We'll see how it handles. It's a little bit slow. We're not expecting it to handle like a sports car or anything like that. Great fuel economy, like I said. You get some nice tech features as well. You got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in here, so that's great. But while we're kind of cruising here, let's go ahead and get a DB test from inside the cabin at city speeds. So we're about at 62 dB on average. Now we're gonna be at idle here. So 46 probably when cars aren't passing by. So that's pretty good, that's pretty quiet. But while we're sitting here waiting, let's go ahead and talk about 3 things that I like and 3 things that I don't like as much about the Malibu. Again, this is kind of a toughie because this is, as I've mentioned many times, kind of a low-end, affordable sedan. This one here stickers for about $27,000. So really, really, really on the low end. And typically speaking, they're discounted pretty heavily. So you can get these for like $25,000, $24,000 brand new for 2024. That's tough to do anywhere. A lot of these cars are just getting more and more expensive, whereas the Malibu's kind of stayed consistent at where it's at. So you're not expecting crazy performance, crazy technology, crazy comfort, convenience features, anything like that. If you want a brand new car and you want it to be, in the mid 20,000s, it's one of your best bets. So 3 things that I like about it. First and foremost, I like that it has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That's something that you don't always get at this price point, and sometimes you don't even get at higher price points. So having that on Chevy's infotainment display here is nice. The 8-inch display looks good too. Like, it still functions really well for its age. I don't think you're gonna have any issues with it really. Secondly, I really think it's an attractive vehicle still, like I mentioned. It's showing its age a little bit, but I still think the design is relatively modern. It's not crazy, it doesn't have any weird angles or anything like that, but as far as just run-of-the-mill, middle-tier, good-looking sedans, I think the Malibu's up there. And then finally, I think you gotta hand it to the fuel economy. 38 miles per gallon highway is nothing to scoff at. I really think that paired with some of the other nice features that you get brings the Malibu up a notch in my book. Now, 3 things that I don't like as much. First and foremost, just has to be the interior quality. Economy car, I understand what they're going for. Sub 30,000 sedan, they could make some improvements here and there. Again, there's higher trim levels, you can get nicer materials, but for the most part, even on on this mid-tier RS. I'd like to see a few more little touches to make this thing feel a little bit more premium. Maybe some soft touch here on the door panels instead of just this hard black plastic, but nonetheless, that's what you got. Secondly, I'd really like them to give you a standard heated seat. I really think in 2024, minimum heated seats should be standard. Some cars, ventilated seats are standard, but at the very least, even on something that's at this price point, heated seats is not too much to ask. And then my last one's kind of a weird one, but this is more of a first car type situation, small family, affordable vehicle. I'd love to see some additional charging ports in the back seats. Everybody's got a smartphone now. Even some young kids have smartphones or tablets or things, and it'd be nice to at least have some charging ports back there on all trim levels to give the kids an extra bit to charge their devices. It's a little thing, but something they could change pretty easily. Now, I wanted to make this review for a couple reasons. One, it's been a long time since I took a look at a Malibu. It's gotta have been back in 2019, 2020, the last time I took a look at one of these things. So I was just interested to see how it's kind of progressed or not progressed. I also am very curious what they do with the Malibu in the future. Do they keep producing them? All I see listed on the websites, Car and Driver and things like that, is up to 2024. Usually around this time period, you'll see updates for 2025, and I haven't really looked into it that much to see if we even have one coming. Kind of interested to see if they just stick with what they're doing. Clearly works for Chevy, so maybe they're gonna keep going with it, or if we're gonna get some major improvements in upcoming years, or maybe they kill it off altogether. We saw them do it with the Spark, we saw them do it with the Impala, but they're bringing back things like the Trailblazer and the Trax, and really everybody's kind of moving to SUVs, so maybe they just kill off the sedan altogether. I don't know. I'm very interested to see. I feel like Chevy kind of needs to keep at least one sedan in their lineup, and I think the Malibu is the only one they have right now. So we'll have to see. If I can find any screenshots or footage of upcoming models, I'll definitely sprinkle it into this portion of the video. I think it's a really unique vehicle, and I think they could do a lot of cool things with it. I think they could do a really nice hybrid. I think they could even go fully electric with it if they wanted to. I know they won't, but they could. It'd be interesting to see the future of the Malibu, or lack thereof. We'll see. We're about to get it up on the highway here, and we'll get a DB test and see how it accelerates. Here's a fun little quirk that I just figured out. I was trying to put some AC on myself, and this vent that points towards the driver, it only stays in place at that setting, which you don't get any airflow on you. If you put it down to the point where you'd get airflow, which is about here, and you turn the air up at all, it just shuts itself. It won't stay open. Like pointing at myself right there, shuts. It's like it's too loose. That sucks. All right, now that we're on the highway, we'll get a little DB test here. About 72. That's not bad at all. That's a little bit quieter than a Subaru Outback, and this is way cheaper than that. Accelerate here. Oh, we're flying now. This Malibu got gas. It's perfectly capable of passing on the highway. I mean, I'm flying past these dudes. Handling feels pretty good, honestly. I'm actually impressed by that. Very responsive, almost sporty, instant. I'm more impressed driving on the highway than I was driving on city streets. We'll try a braking test up here. I didn't slam on the brakes because I'm just on an exit, but that felt good. So in conclusion, the Malibu, it's one of those cars that I feel like is almost stuck in time right now. And like I've said a few times, I'm super interested to see what they do in the future with it. But where it sits right now, like, should you buy it? I think that's kind of the question. And I don't know. That's a real toughie, because I think just about any other vehicle in this class is going to have better features for probably the same or just a little bit more expensive of a price tag. I mean, something like the Hyundai Sonata, obviously you can't get one that's this cheap. There's just so many options, the Accord, the Camry, but even something just a tad smaller like the Hyundai Elantra, you could find one that's somewhere in this price range and get a greater feature set than you can get here on the Malibu. Unless you just absolutely love the Chevy brand or the GM brand and you really want to stick with it, or you just like the looks of the Malibu, go for it. It's not going to break the bank. You're going to get some nice features. You could even go up a couple trim levels, get into that $30,000 range and buy a 2LT or even just an LT and get some, leather with a sunroof and things like that. There's options here. If you want one of the most affordable sedans on the market that still has some nice technology and honestly is decently fun to drive, the Malibu's a pretty good option. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Drop a like in the video if you loved it. Let me know, what do you think about the Malibu here? It's kind of retro at this point, and I really like it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to be one of the first to see every single new video the second I hit publish. We'll see you in the next one.